Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout. I, of course, am your host, Charlie, and I'm joined once again by the prolific commenter himself, Zealeus.
What's on your shirt, yo? If you can't duct tape it, 3I with a F it. Okay, got it. It's hard to tell.
If you can't duck it,
do that thing.
Yeah.
Do what you got to do.
So anyways, how's it going, Zealeus?
Life is good, man. It's like Atlanta. It feels like we've been living in Hawaii for the last week, basically since Saturday. It's just been phenomenal. This whole week has just been beautiful. High of like the 70s, lows in the 60s, not really humid. It's just been fantastic. So life is good. And I'm happy because tomorrow's my last day of work for a week because we start fall break.
I do not have a last day of I don't have a break.
Well, I'm going to be spending my break learning how to use robotics.
Yeah.
Because I know nothing about robotics, and somehow I decided it would be a great idea to become a robotics coach this year, and I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So I get to learn how to control them, which should be fun, because then they will take over the world, and wield flamethrowers and chainsaws. That's my plan, at least. And then we'll go down the hallways, and anybody who goes into the hallway when they're not supposed to be, they'll have a flamethrower, chainsaw-wielding robot to greet them. They'll be totally autonomously controlled by my super AI. It's going to be epic. You don't seem very impressed by my robot.
I'm not going to lie. I am suspect of your programming skills.
That's the beautiful thing, is I don't have to know programming because the entire repository has already been created. So you just have to be able to modify the pre-existing subroutines and everything
Once again,
else.
modification require programming.
It's different, though, from running it from scratch. Just thinking there'll be bigger flames and explosions this way.
Do you know who you're talking to?
Yes?
I've got a humongous programming background. It's not like you have to... whatever. Anyways.
You're the one who's trying to dash my hopes and dreams.
I'm sorry. Before we get into anything really, really deep, I do want to, once again, congratulate Pera Games for their game Overfall, which was successfully funded on Kickstarter.
Woo! Where's the champagne, yo?
I don't like
I thought we
champagne.
were getting a bottle of champagne for this ceremony.
I don't like champagne.
A little champagne, a little orange juice, have some more mimosas, get some bacon. It'd be perfect.
Okay, bacon, yes. The rest of it, or an orange juice, yes. No to the champagne.
Fine, I'll just drink the mimosas. You can do whatever you got. You can do what you got to do.
I'm not giving you champagne.
That's disappointing.
Okay.
I want my money back.
Anyway, so congratulations to Pera Games for having a successful Kickstarter. I believe they're currently in the process of getting it greenlit on Steam. Actually, you know what? I feel like they started the Greenlight campaign before they started the Kickstarter. Could be wrong, but that's what it feels like.
I don't know.
Okay, so I was talking to Zealeus before this show, and there's a game that we wrote a piece about, and it's called Moon Tower Attack.
Moon Tower MTA.
Yep, MTA. It is for the iOS and Android device.
Indeed.
It is free to play with, of course, I think microtransactions, though I have not run into any microtransactions.
How can a game be free to play? Not have it. Or does that have advertising? It's got to have something. You got to monetize it somehow.
You know, I haven't noticed anything. Anyways,
Yeah.
So here's the deal. For some reason, amazingly enough, when it comes to independently developed games, certain genres come in waves. You have it's been point-click adventure forever.
Okay.
And now all of a sudden, I swear to God, everybody and their mother is making a tower defense game.
Which it seems like we've already had a tower defense phase a couple of years ago.
Right,
Like,
but
I
it's
feel
just
like when it
rotating
first
back in.
came out, especially on the mobile platforms,
Yep.
there was like 8 billion versions of tower defense once the first one became really popular. And now all of a sudden, it's like, let's see what we can do with tower defense games. Although my favorite is still, to this day, Warzone Anomaly, which is really a reverse tower defense game, but it's a very well-balanced game, which I rather enjoyed.
Oh, okay, there we go. There's the microtransactions.
You can buy Facebook points.
No. If you share on Facebook, you get some points.
Of course.
These
Go nag your friends.
Yeah, see how that goes. Anyways, so Moon Tower Attack, interesting game. It's grid based. It's It's going to be your usual square grid across the board. You have 3 different difficulty modes. You have your casual, your normal, and your hardcore. Each one, of course, gives you an increase in the amount of finish stars. So if you're playing casual, you get 1 star for completing the level. If you play normal, you get 2 stars per level, and then hardcore 3.
Okay.
And all the levels have a little bit of a different layout, which are basically, of course, the gist of a tower defense game is you have enemies coming from a side, maybe different parts of one side of the screen, and they're coming across to try to enter your base area. And so you have to build towers to defend. Up to this point, my towers have been indestructible.
Yay!
It's basically you use towers to like basically reroute the enemy. Now there's a couple stages where it's not an open plain. It's they will follow a road, and so you literally.
Which it seems like how most tower defense games are. Most tower defense games seem pretty
roads.
routed. There's a few.
Right. Absolutely. So you got that aspect as well. The Ando of Andocon, but all your bases belong to us. Yes.
That's not how it goes.
But anyways, so here's
Your
my
English is too good.
here's my issue with this game. So you can play casual, and I played casual just so I could try to get through the entire game, to try to feel what's the ramp up in difficulty, what's all the weapons you're going to be able to utilize throughout the game, all that stuff. Well, here's a funny story. You play the first 5 levels. So
Okay.
at that point, you have won. You have acquired 5 out of 15, a potential 15 stars. Well, it turns out that level 6 requires an accumulation of 10 stars.
10 stars? That's not very funny, yo. It's terrible.
It's not. So technically, what you have to do is you have to play, bare minimum, you have to play all the levels on normal.
That's kind of crappy because do you have any indication when you're playing, when you get to the 6th level, that all of a sudden you're going to need more stars?
No.
So it's a surprise.
So you click on the first base, and then it goes okay, which difficulty you want to choose. So you choose a difficulty, and then you keep doing that for 2, 3, 4, 5, and then when you try to tap on 6 to jump into it, it goes, oh, sorry, you haven't accumulated enough
that
stars.
sounds like, to me, it sounds like a BS way to try to increase the game length of what you're playing if you're playing in casual.
But
it only increases the game length if you're playing on casual.
But here's the real fun curveball, and that is as soon as you so you play 1 through 5, you play through normal so you can accumulate enough stars to unlock level 6. You're thinking, okay, it's got to be something special, something different, something unique. No, it's just another level, and once again you're able to play casual, normal, and hardcore. So my question to the developer is, what's the point?
Like, why would you have to be every stage on medium just to go to level 6? Why can't you just play all on casual?
Why require an individual to play every single stage 1 through 5 on normal, only to allow to unlock level 6 and beyond, where you can once again go back to casual?
That seems rather silly to me. I'm not a fan of that.
So I guess the moral of the story is, if you want to play this game, because it's pretty solid. I mean, it's got a good, up to where I've played, it's got a machine gun turret, it's got a missile launcher turret, it's got an electro gun turret, and it's got a flamethrower turret.
Mm-hmm.
All awesome. No, I've gotten my ass whooped a couple times, and I've never lost in normal.
Okay. It'd be kind of like if you're playing like Morrowind. You get halfway through the game, you might have to go face the first dragon. And it's like, oh, sorry, you played the game in casual mode up to this point. In order to play the dragon, you must actually play it all in normal mode.
Yes.
And you have to start from scratch at the harder difficulty level.
Yes.
It just seems silly. It really doesn't make much sense why you would have to play it all normal just to get to the next level.
I agree. And I hope that maybe this is something that can be fixed. But otherwise, this is a game that if you want to play casual, then you're literally getting a demo, because you will not be able to play the game past level 5.
So this is for hardcore tower defenders, man.
Reminds me of Bubble Bobble for NES.
Never played Bubble Bobble. I never really played the Nintendo. I never really had one.
I played Bubble Bobble, and I'm going to be honest with you. I got to a certain part in the game where I just said, F it, give me the cheat code to put me in the final level because I was going batshit crazy.
You know what I miss is the Game Genie.
If you played it through one time, you were told you had to play it through again, and if you do one stage incorrectly, you also fail out. Same for one player. You have to do it just right with two players to win.
Huh.
Yeah, well, I mean, the old school games. See, that's
They had no mercy.
yeah, no, that God no.
No.
Man, I would have like stacks of lined, like classroom paper stapled together with all the different save codes for all my NES games. And I also wrote out all the moves for all of my Super Nintendo fighting games.
The one I still remember is Justin Bailey.
Justin Bailey.
Metroid?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Or you would play, like, you had to go to bed, but you weren't done with the game.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to leave your NES or SNES on overnight. And you try to tell your parents not to turn it off because you can't save the game because it's too old. And you wake up the next morning and guess what happened?
John, you left your console on, so I just went ahead and turned it off.
Pretty much. They were trying to be very considerate, but, it was like we were trying to go to a BBS and you tell your parents not to pick up the phone and they would anyway. So like,
BBS.
come on! I'm
The
just
good
trying
old
to...
days of Red Dragon Inn, my friend.
And Trade Wars.
I never played Trade Wars. I was all about Red Dragon Inn, though.
Lord was a classic. You had to find the right node though that had all of the modules because you had like all the extra stuff you could do beyond just the normal game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that was a good game. You can still play it. You can still find some to tell that into.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yeah, it still exists.
Actually, I think there's a board game that's based off it. I think there's a Red Dragon Inn board game now.
It's very Ando would probably know. He's board game-erific.
Ando!
Is there one? Go look on that board game website that has them all listed. I forget what it's called.
Oh, yeah, I can't remember what it is.
But that's where I've always got when I look at board games.
Yeah. So let's get into some of the topics that we have set out. Of course, if you, the audience, have any topics you want to bring up, just throw it our way, and then we'll circle back as quickly as possible to get your topic. All right. So
which for us can take a while.
Depends on how bad of a tangent.
Yes.
Is there one? What? Sorry, I was talking to... Oh, man. Ando, just tell her to tune in. Why is she not watching this?
Where are your priorities, Ando?
Katie May!
Yeah, you got to have your priorities straight, bro.
All right, anyways. All right, let's go to the... Let's go into the first story, and that, of course, is Cloud9 DDOS Attack. Zealeus, start us off.
So, okay, for those not in the know, DDoS attack basically is a distributed denial of service attack. And what that means is a bunch of people are throwing a whole bunch of data at a certain computer or a group of computers to make them basically unable to connect to the internet. So what's happening is you have the SMITE ProLink, the SPL, and they are all in like regionals right now going on. And you have to get like a certain ranking in your group in order to move on to the next regionals, etc.
Right.
And so Cloud9 is one of the teams trying to compete in the regionals in order to eventually get onto the SMITE World Championships, which happens to be here in Atlanta at the Cobb Energy Center in January. And so basically what's been happening is a couple of players, most famously MLC Stealth is probably the most famous player on their team, but they've been getting DDoS attacked while they're trying to play in their SMITE Pro leagues. And basically what this has caused is there's really no recourse for action if this happens. Basically you have, say you have a 10 p.m. match of Cloud9 versus Titan. If Cloud9 is, for whatever reason, it really does not matter, like the apocalypse could be happening. If they cannot play their game, they have to forfeit the game.
Right.
And basically, the other player that's been getting also DDoS recently is, I don't know actually say his name, it's like Anil or something, Anil, I don't know. It starts with an A. And he's their jungler and basically play caller. And what's been happening is he's the recent one. And people in the forums are like, oh, why don't you just call him a sub? There's lots of great, players out there. And basically, Barracuda is actually another one of the players that's been on Reddit. Basically, that just does not work for... When you play in the top echelons of basically any pro sports game, a lot comes down to synergy. And if you just try bringing in a random player, even if they're top of their game, it's just not going to work. Because players... Anister, thank you. Because they all play with each other, they know each other's moves, they can anticipate it. And when you just bring in a random player, it's just not going to work. They've tried, it just doesn't happen. So basically, Cloud9, who's Yeah, it's pretty easy to say that one of the top teams in the world, just based on their talent alone, is basically they're on death's door when it comes to moving on from group stage right now.
Right.
Because they've been forced to forfeit their games. And it sucks both for them because, this is their livelihood.
Right.
For Cloud9 players and many SPL or any pro sport leagues player in general, this is their livelihood. They're trying to make money off of being a professional sports player. You go to SMITE World Championship with $1 million payouts, and that's what they're going for. And then also for people like us who are going to SMITE World Championships. We want to see the best of the best who are playing at these tournaments. And basically comes down to some dickwad out there is being a total douchebag and basically denying these players from playing what should be the best of the best. We've talked, and Charlie may have a theory about why this could be happening.
Okay, so as you might have noticed, there has been SMITE has now been truly introduced into one of the eSports fantasy systems. I don't want to. I hesitate to say betting, but I mean, because there's betting, but gambling maybe, but no, it's a fantasy esports site called Alpha Draft. Now, of course, what you do is you draft. There's these events, either like a weekend special tournament or something, and what you do is you kind of you have a set amount of money, funny money, and you build your team with that funny money, and then hopefully you build the team with all the different players from all the different teams that are going to be playing that weekend or that day. And my concern now, of course, conspiracy theory nuts. I should
Where's
be wearing
tinfoil hats? Put them
I know.
on.
I was.
Do you have one?
Yeah, I need to put my tinfoil hat on.
This is the closest I come right here.
Yeah. So here's the thing, though. How crazy would it be, or how far-fetched might it be, if some individual who is utilizing this fantasy esports game for profit, or esports site for profit, let's say that they know for a fact, I'm going to dick over Cloud9. So when people have Cloud9 characters on their team, they're going to lose a shit ton of points to me, which of course then allows me to have a better chance of winning, the $250 pot or something. It's not humongous, but still.
You know what I honestly find more likely?
What's that?
It was just another SPL team trying to sabotage the league. That was my first thought. It's just another team who wants to try to take out probably what's considered the top team.
Well, I mean, those are the champions. I know that,
There's other good. There's other good teams.
Right.
Don't get us wrong. But if you're going to take out probably the most famous team, that based on them winning last year, is what it comes down to. Is that's who you're probably going to want to take out if you're doing something like. So that is my first initial thought.
Right.
Is it's basically sabotage by another team. They're playing like real world coup, basically.
Well, but here's shoot. Hold on one sec. My brain had something, and then it just went. Oh, damn it! There, on this Reddit feed that Zealeus found, some people were like, "Well, you should just make the times and the place unknown." It's like it's supposed to be spectator sport.
Yes.
You kind of need the audience kind of needs to know when to tune in.
Yeah. And they are doing they already, they try to hide that IP address. They're going through VPNs already.
Yep.
So it's not that they aren't trying to protect themselves, but the reality is if somebody really wants to get you, and they have the knowledge and the wherewithal, they're going to be able to figure out a way to basically DDOS or whatever you.
Right.
So it's kind of it's going to be interesting to see how they go forward from here in order to prevent stuff like this happening in the future. Or what they can do to protect themselves.
I'll be very interested. Now, of course, this. A lot of people came down really hard on high res, saying, you got to do something about this. But to be honest, this isn't. This really has nothing to do with high res.
High res's fault.
Right.
It's not like a server glitch or something. It's a third-party person out there, unless you're really conspiracy, not even think high res is doing it to stir up controversy.
No.
I'm just kidding.
I hope not.
You would think not. That would be bad. So no, it's not high res's fault. And yeah, what are they supposed to do? Like every time, And the other problem too, say high res is like, okay, we're going to redo this match. You also potentially set a very dangerous precedent.
Where if you're losing, all of a sudden you go, oh no, I'm being attacked.
Or what happens to the next team? Like, oh no, our top player is sick with the flu or something. So from high res's position, I understand, and I think that they're right not to really do anything. They're like, it is what it is.
Right.
But it's also interesting to me that you look at all the other pro sports out there, baseball, soccer, etc. They're all very, let's call it quarantine zones. The field, the property, unless you count footballs and the NFC Championship game, they're all very controlled objects. AFC, sorry. I was like, I have a 50-50 shot. So it's all very controlled environments. And then you get into the SPL, the Sports Pro League. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And then it's kind of the wild, wild west, as we're seeing through DDOS attacks going on in this, where anything can happen. I mean, for all you know, you could a certain book, you could have certain people sitting and playing for another person, and there might be not anything you can know about that is actually happening.
Right.
So there's still a lot of unknown variables going on because it's basically, I'm sitting at my own house playing.
Right.
Am I really the one playing? So there's a lot of money at stake for it's still kind of a very open world until you get to some place like the Cobb Energy Center for the actual championships. So I wonder if at some point, if they would ever kind of like poker. You used to have the Wild Wild West of poker, just play at random tournaments, where now you can, build your way up through sanctioned tournaments to get to the Poker World Championships. In Las Vegas. So I wonder if you'd ever maybe get to that point with like the SPL where players have to, somehow get their asses to a actual, regional championship location to play these matches instead of just playing out of your house.
I mean, that was actually something I was thinking about. What would happen if you literally just had you had like some kind of special internal server that was running just that stuff, and then you had like an external broadcast only, where everything's happening within the building and not actually touching the internet. Now, of course, the problem would simply be the travel, because it is very difficult for teams to come in. One of the biggest issues that the first year of the SMITE World Championship had was that some of the players couldn't get their visas squared away and were not able to attend.
Well, I would think you would still have the regional championship somehow.
Oh, right. No.
There's regional to start out with.
So there is Hi-Rez has built an eSports like arena next to their office up in Alpharetta, Georgia, for that type of thing. But when you have all of these leagues, it's literally just a way your team wins, or your KDA, which is kill death assist ratio, that all goes into account, and then whoever the top teams with the most points accumulated move on.
There's a term for that. I cannot think of what it is.
And so to require them to constantly have to come in for these would be kind of nuts.
I agree. But at some point, do you think that there has to be some kind of mechanism in place to prevent stuff like this happening? I mean, it's not going to go away anytime soon. It's the reality.
Right.
I mean, you've seen how successful that these attacks have been against Cloud9. And, if they get left out of the championships because of this, not because they just lost the match on merit alone, then, if anything, I think it actually incentivizes this happening again in the future.
Right. Absolutely.
And that's what I'd be worried about. And the thing I'd be interested, because I don't really follow other esports much, like SMITE. I'd be wondering if this happens at all in like Dota or League of Legends or Counter-Strikes or other games.
I would now when I was doing some research, I did find out that there are a couple other big fantasy esports sites out there. One's called, I believe it's called Unicorn or Unicorn, and the other one is called Vulcan. Vulcan actually has bigger payouts. It does not have Smite available as one of the options. So I am very interested to see if maybe there have been DDoS attacks to teams that do participate, teams that are on games that participate through Vulcan. I don't know though. We'd require a little bit more research. Though, okay, speaking of professional esports, I do have some really exciting news, and that is that someone not of Korean descent has actually gotten into the StarCraft 2 finals.
Woo! John DeVol, yeah!
No.
It
was a French gentleman who actually won out. Okay, so here's the crazy thing about the Star Wars StarCraft 2 tournament. So it's supposed to be this world tournament. You have like people from the U.S., from Europe, from Asia, all this stuff, right? The funny thing is, the vast majority of the time, it's individuals who once upon a time were in Korea, but decided that they had a better chance in a different country, so they moved to that country.
Huh.
And then...
What is it about that Korean blood that gives you that fast twitch skills and clicks per minute?
I don't know, man.
What is it, man?
I don't know.
I should have been born in Korea. I miss my calling. I need to talk to my parents about this.
So anyway, congratulations to the French dude that I cannot remember off the top of my head, but congrats to you, sir.
I was terrible.
You have broken through!
I'm terrible at StarCraft. I could never, I'm one of those people who could, I could turtle, but I could never, actually manage attacking people. I'm just terrible.
He plays Protoss.
Protoss? I was guessing.
Okay. Thank you, Ando. Yes, South Korean women are gorgeous. Okay,
But can they play video games?
I'm pretty sure they can.
Okay.
Okay, so let's move on to the next topic. The next topic is something that is really exciting for Altered Confusion. That, of course, is we showed off a game. I think, did we show it? I know we did it at MomoCon. I think it was just at MomoCon. I don't think we showed it off at Kanuga.
I honestly don't remember.
I think we just showed it off at MomoCon. That, of course, was Guns, Gore, and Cannoli, which was a kind of like a mobster side-scroller game with a co-op option, and of course, lots of zombies, mobsters, and the army. And we had a ton of fun with it. Well, we just found out that this game is going to the Xbox One, which is awesome. It is the first Belgian game will reside on the Xbox One.
It's like a good Belgian beer.
Now, to add to Guns, Gore, and Cannoli, they're adding a new mode. They wanted to have a versus mode where you don't have to play through the game, you don't have to co-op, you can basically play against your friends or opponents. But they also understand that not everyone has a ton of controllers for your Xbox One, or perhaps you don't have friends constantly coming over to your house.
Or friends.
So they have a bot option, so you can play. And for me, personally, I like to have a bot option on any versus game so I can actually become proficient before I try to take on anyone.
You mean first-person practice without having to play against real people right away?
Yes.
That's crazy talk, yo.
I know.
It's unacceptable.
I know.
What are you, a noob?
Yes.
But yeah, I would agree. Guns, Gore, and Cannoli. It's a fun side-scrolling, basically shoot-'em-up game, which I also enjoyed. It's definitely adding a second player. Definitely adds an interesting element to it.
Yes.
They're either going to help you out and you like them, or they're going to slow you down and get you killed and you want to shoot them in the face with a real gun.
Yes.
It was usually one or the other, but it was a good game. It got a little bit. One of the things I liked about the game is you go through the game and so you got checkpoints throughout the game.
Yep.
But the checkpoints were very reasonably spaced.
Yes.
Because you're going to die a lot in Guns, Gore, and Cannoli. It's just going to happen no matter what you do. So it reminds me of Contra. You're going to die. And so it's one of the nice things, though, is the checkpoints are so frequent where you don't feel like it's totally frustrating because the checkpoint was 2 minutes ago.
Yep.
So that's one thing I liked. Did you die? Well, there's a checkpoint right there. Not a big deal.
Yes. And so it's coming on the Xbox One. I am completely blanking on exactly when it's coming. Hold on, let me cheat real quick here.
It's coming. Wait, other way,
Oh
other
wait,
way, other way.
it's right there. September 25th. So literally
Right
8
on.
days from now.
It's so close, yet so far away.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Contra. Look, Contra is without the Konami code.
Contra's. That was a tough game.
Yes.
It was another one of those no mercy games. That was just endemic of the NES.
A ton of NES games.
Yeah.
Look, the only way that I beat Mega Man 3 was with the cheat on the second player controller. And that is what you would do. You would, I think you had to like push up on the second controller and keep it down. And then you would run Mega Man into the first pit you could find and drop him in. And he would die, but still be able to live. And you would have to use all your special weapons from the bad guys you've already beaten to go through, but you could not die.
But it's not the Konami code. It doesn't count.
Whatever, dude.
It's unfortunate.
But Mega Man's Capcom.
I should still. Other franchises have used the Konami code before, and they've done just fine.
Whatever.
Just saying. It's like what the.
So, anyways, check out Guns. If you have an Xbox One or a PC, check out Guns, Gore, and Cannoli. It is a real fun game. Yes, Ando, Mega Man. My brother, let's see here. Craig says, my brother and I could run through Contra for hours on end without getting killed once we knew the patterns of all levels. Yes, that was one of the awesome things about the vast majority of Nintendo games was it was all about the patterns. If you could figure out the patterns, you were going to be okay.
I never had the patience.
No.
That was number one. I see. I'm the one who just like wants to run in and stab you in the face, which is usually actually a bad strategy. It turns out it's not effective unless you know the pattern, which I did. Yeah, that was unfortunate.
Yeah. Okay. The next thing we want to talk about really quick is once again, ladies and gentlemen, AlteredConfusion is going to be participating in Extra Life, which of course is the part of Extra Life is the 24-hour Game-a-thon, which happens in November. We will once again be attempting to play a very wide variety of games.
I'm going to throw this out there.
Yes.
If anybody so when you do Extra Life, it doesn't have to just be video games. It can be games of any kind. So if anybody potentially wants to play board games on the day of Extra Life, AlteredConfusion will probably be open to such an idea to help break the tedium of just video games. Charlie, what do you think of that?
Okay. I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm just saying there's other options. You don't have to do just video games for the entire day.
I will play...
Since we have a couple people here who seem to be board game fanatics.
Bugs Bunny Rampage from start to end and then come back and talk to me about patience.
I never even played that game, so I don't know.
But anyways, so here's the deal about Extra Life. Extra Life, of course, is a charity event. Actually, it's a charity organization. The Game-a-thon is it's a charity event. It goes to the Children's Miracle Network. AlteredConfusion for the past, oh God, have I done it 3 years now? Yeah, 3. So this will be our 4th year. We do exclusively for Children's Healthcare of Atlanta because God knows that I spend enough time in all of those different rooms.
I don't think I ever went to one.
I did.
Well,
I brought people there, and I also went there because I got injured.
Yes, many times.
Ironically, though, I never broke a bone.
I've never broken a bone somehow also. Yes, they did. They were fun people to talk to.
Yes, they were also people.
We had a good conversation.
So anyways, if you would like to, it's not too late to, try your own and create your own fundraiser. But of course, AlteredConfusion has a fundraiser in place.
Come over here and play video games.
We are trying to raise money. So if you're interested in donating any amount of money, please do so by going to extra-life.org, and then you could search for AlteredConfusion. You can donate to us.
Just not a negative donation.
You can't do negative donations.
Unless you hack the system. But I wouldn't recommend doing so.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't do that.
See, I'll try afterwards.
No, don't do that.
I'll withdraw money.
Oh, Lord. Zealeus.
It happens. I know.
Anyway, so I don't know what game. Of course, because November's still a ways off. I don't know what games I'll be playing, but chances are I'm going to be playing a plethora of independently developed games, and maybe a couple of games that everyone knows about. So.
See, and then I'm the opposite, where like last year's Extra Life, I found Star Wars: The Old Republic.
You jumped right back in.
And I jumped right back in. Well, it's because they had this like promotional thing where if you got like the expansion, basically your experience you got for playing the main storyline was like tenfold or something.
Mm-hmm.
So you could play a new character and literally just play the main storyline quest, which was actually interesting, and level up just fine.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I did for almost the entire time, was just play one video game. I'm the kind of person, I'm just probably going to play like 1 or 2 video games.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not the play 18 different games kind of person in one sitting.
Oh God, I won't be playing 18 games. Let's see, there's 24 hours, probably 2. So, I'll probably be like 8 or 10 max. It really depends on what games we have, or what games I have on my plate. I will say that I am way behind on writing reviews because I can see all the games that I have accumulated that I need to play. So
November. What?
Let me give it one second. I will tell you. It is November 7th.
Saturday?
Yeah, that's Saturday.
Right on.
But just to make sure, let's see here. September, October, November 7th is a Saturday, yes.
Excellent.
Which means that I will be asleep all of Sunday.
Problem solved.
Well, we'll see how well that goes over. I'll probably get 4 hours of sleep and be like, all right, it's time to get up.
I'll get my beauty sleep unless my cat wakes me up.
Yeah.
So I can always throw her in the dishwasher.
Lando, if you can join in, that would be phenomenal. That's all I have to say.
Retro video game slumber party. That sounds like fun.
Yeah.
If not a little bit dangerous.
All right, so that is all the topics we had. Oh God.
Whoa!
What did I click on? There we go. So if the audience wants to throw any topics our way, I do have a couple of questions that I was asked beforehand that I can bring up if necessary.
Well, let's begin with the question. We'll see what comes from there, good sir.
Okay, so Sony has officially named the Morpheus project. It's going to be called Sony VR.
I'm sorry, I already forgot the name.
So, here's the question. If this device is a Sony exclusive, oh, I was like, Nakamoto, I have a question. Why is Hangout you don't capitalize in the title?
What?
Son of a... I don't write well, okay? Me speaky bad, okay?
That's like, okay, the capitalization of like Hangout you don't want to miss, it's more of like a, do you ever write how you talk? And that's what that is.
I literally...
That's what it is. That's a writing like
you talk. If you read any of my reviews, any of my articles, I write how I speak.
That's what that is. It's a speaking. Yes, it's not proper English, and thank you. If I had noticed that, I would have.
Zealeus would have fixed it.
I would have fixed it.
But anyways, so if the Sony VR coming this summer rated PG-13, if Sony VR is exclusively for Sony,
which I expect it to be,
will it succeed? Now, take this caveat into effect. I didn't say for the Sony PlayStation 4. I said for Sony.
Well, let's go back a little. So they've already demoed the Sony VR for Final Fantasy XIV.
Interesting. Okay.
Which is, yes, it's on the PS4, but it's also on the computer.
Right.
And you're playing, so people who play Final Fantasy XIV, people on the PlayStation 4 and the PC are playing in the same realm at the same time. So are you going to try to create a experience where people can be both playing on the VR helmet and their normal computer screen at the same time when it's two completely different perspectives of interacting with your game? So that's more of a kind of general question that we've been asking on the Final Fantasy XIV, boards. But I think that yes, my gut feeling is that it would be a PlayStation 4 exclusive. That's just my gut instinct. that it's going to be for the console. And my assumption behind it is because I could see them trying to kind of perfect the experience of the Sony VR helmet, and it would be easier to create a better experience when it's very specific to that console. It's kind of almost like the Mac effect, where because you have such a small, what's the word I'm looking for? A small amount of hardware to actually write your stuff for, you can do more things. And you can create less potential hardware conflicts and issues. Whereas if you open up your VR helmet to all of the PC master race, then you start getting to the Windows syndrome, where shit's just going to stop working for who knows whatever reason. So I could see Sony going PS4 exclusive.
I'm gonna lay it out for you right here, right now. If they go PlayStation 4 exclusive, I think it fails simply because it's not going to be required. It's gonna be the exact same thing as the PlayStation Eye, the same type of situation as the PlayStation Eye and the Kinect. If you want it, you can have it. Otherwise, you don't need it. So the problem is there's going to be a hefty price tag attached.
I think there's a difference though with the VR helmet versus all the motion controls. When the Kinect and the Sony Ball came out, the Wii was already the established leader in motion controls. It was already kind of a foregone conclusion that, okay, the Nintendo Wii was already basically the master race of your motion controls. It had been out for a while. It's really why everybody started doing motion controls is because of the Wii. Whereas right now, everybody's still trying to come out to be that first leader in the VR world.
You mean the Oculus Rift?
Which you still can't really buy as a consumer.
You mean the HTC Vive, which you can't buy as a consumer?
So
you mean the Sony VR, which you can't buy as a consumer?
Yeah, so they're all still trying to be the best because you don't really have that leader in the marketplace because there's nothing really in the marketplace to buy yet per se.
Right, but the problem is that once again you're talking about a very expensive product.
Oh, I didn't say it's going to succeed.
Right. But to be honest, I think that it in my honest opinion, if it is it cannot be if you're going to have a successful VR helmet, it's got to be cross-platform.
I think, just my gut feeling is it's going to be the Oculus Rift that's going to succeed because it has the backing of Facebook behind it. I'm going to be honest. I think that's why.
I'm going to say there's going to be two, and I think it's going to be okay. Let me think about this. It depends on the audience. It's either going to be VHS versus beta, or it's going to be HDVD versus Blu-ray.
But going to your point though of cross-platform, is behind the scenes, like on the server side of things, Facebook is extremely cross-platform and open,
absolutely,
in open standards. So I could see them doing the same thing with their VR helmet.
Right, but the thing is, I think there's going to be two victors out of this VR thing, and that is going to be the Oculus Rift, and I think the other one is going to be the HTC Vive. The only reason why I say the HTC Vive is that they have a big name behind them who is basically, you're not going to move Valve. Okay? I think Valve knows their shit.
But I think when you're talking about the PS4 or the PlayStation VR, I don't think in order for it to be the winner, I don't think Sony really cares if it's more popular than the HTC whatever or any of the others. All they care about is do people buy for the PlayStation 4 as a peripheral for the PS4. That's really what it comes down to.
Right.
It's for the PlayStation 4 gamers. Are they going to buy it for the PlayStation 4?
But by the time it comes out, the PlayStation 4 will be so ingrained in the way it is. How apt will the fan base be in adapting to having the VR helmet? There's got to be something amazing,
I think
something that just blows you away.
Yes, I think the big question is: are you going to have games
that
come out?
Are they going to attempt the Sony Home experience again and make it actually awesome?
Yes. Are you going to? Oh, there you go. Yes. Are they going to have games for the PS4 that come out that are going to force you to drive people to buy their VR helmet? Because if they don't have games that justify buying the VR helmet, then no, it will not be successful. But I think if you have games that justify it, I think it could become successful.
You know what the funny thing is? I think the way that
Nakamoto, nice.
I think the way that it would succeed, you're right. You would have to make exclusive games that utilizes the shit out of that VR helmet, and you'd be like, all right, yeah, I got to get it. The problem is the best type of company to do that would be a first-party developer, which Sony no longer owns any first-party developers.
Sure, and the other issue I think too is we've talked before at some of our panels about how extraordinarily expensive these AAA titles have become.
Right.
And we talked about one of the issues that you get into AAA titles is the lack of originality because of the amount of money it costs to, make these intellectual properties. So these big publishers and developers, are they going to be willing to go out on a limb and invest what's going to be tens of millions of dollars
right, exactly,
into a VR exclusive title when they're already so risk adverse as it is?
Right. I mean, it's like when the Wii came out with the Wii balance board. How many games actually, incorporated the board in there? Because oh man, now you can really do your snowboarding.
Those are Nintendo exclusives.
Yeah.
That's basically what it came
exactly.
down to.
You weren't having any third-party developers going, oh yeah, let me throw my weight behind it.
I mean, I'm going to expect, but I can also see Sony though behind the scenes throwing their weight behind some of the publishers and working out some
incentives.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. I could definitely see Sony behind the scenes being like, hey, look, who made the publishers? I could see them working with publishers like, let's make this work, guys. So I still see. I don't see it being the defining VR technology of our generation because I don't think it's coming to other platforms. Just based off of it's Sony, and you're going to make it for the PS4.
Yeah, but in my opinion, because it is Sony, I feel like they're going to screw it.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
They're like, okay, we're going to bring out the Sony VR helmet. It's going to be awesome. And then 10 days before it comes out, oh no, we gotta redo the entire design.
No, see what Sony would do is when they're talking about, they would say it's cross-platform. It runs on Xbox One, it runs on PlayStation 4, it runs on the Game Boy, and then 10 days before the release, oh sorry, it's just for the PlayStation 4.
That's for
that's a Sony
the Vita,
thing.
Man. It's for the Vita.
That's what Sony would do, is they release the functionality of it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I could still see. I still see Google getting behind one. I see them somehow converting Google Glass into some kind of VR type.
I wouldn't be surprised. I mean,
the problem with Google does though is they throw the weight behind something, and then a month later, for absolutely no reason whatsoever, they're like, "Fuck it, we don't care anymore."
They've got enough money. They've got enough money to just go.
No, you know who has the money to do stuff like that? It's Apple.
Yeah,
Apple
but
has
they
the
decided to make a humongous pencil.
Well, and their VR helmet would be like $8,000. That'd be so ungodly expensive.
It will only run on Apple OS whatever.
Well, that's exactly what they're doing. People are like, oh. But at the same time, that's what they're banking on with the watch. Okay, think about it. If we're going
the fucking watch.
No, if we're going the Apple route, let's go down that rabbit hole for a second. What happened when the iPad 1 came out? People were like, fuck this shit, man. This is lame. And now look what that had. Same thing with the iPhone. The first generation of iPhone came out. This is the worst.
The watch is a remote control for your phone. It's a remote control. I can control my phone right now.
The first generation MacBook was a white piece of crap that anybody who used it absolutely hated. And now people love the MacBook Airs. So all I'm saying is that Apple has a history. Their first generation of hardware sucks monkey balls.
Look, okay, so...
And then they get to their second or third generation, it's actually a quality piece of equipment. So I don't know if... I don't have an Apple Watch. I don't plan on buying one anytime soon.
No.
And I'm an Apple fanboy. But Apple has a history of people absolutely lambasting their first generation technologies and turning it around.
No, so okay, so here's the difference here, Mr. Everything's going to be rainbows and puppy dog tails and all.
Hey, I like my rainbows and puppy dogs.
All right, here's the problem. The Apple Watch is not the Steve Jobs Apple Watch. It is some other douchebag's Apple Watch. Steve Jobs has a patent or had a patent for an Apple Watch, and then Apple decided to go in a different direction. If they create the one that Steve Jobs did a patent for.
Yeah, it's Steve.
First gen Xbox. First gen Xbox was a phenomenal emulating machine. You just break it open. You throw out the old hard drive, put in the new one. You put in all the emulation special OS, and you can play games, movies, all that stuff. It was awesome.
Really, the Xbox One you used for Xbox Media Center. Not the Xbox One. The original Xbox Media Center.
Mm-hmm.
You just install that. But I'm not convinced that just because Steve Jobs, isn't behind the Apple Watch, that Apple still cannot succeed with their hardware releases.
Look at all the Apple iPhone.
Okay.
Steve Jobs.
Yeah.
The iPad. Steve Jobs. The iPod. Steve Jobs. Basically, every Apple product has had Steve Jobs, except for the pencil and this version of the watch.
Yes. Okay. He had the initial vision behind it, but as far as technology goes, it's people behind the scene. It's actually making it work. That second generation.
We'll see.
I don't know. Well, you got the Pebble. Where is your Pebble? Don't you have a Pebble?
I did, but then I got
the Fitbit.
The upgrade in the Fitbit.
You don't want to wear both at the same time?
No, that's be really weird.
It would be pretty weird.
It's like I'll look at my watch. Okay, I'll look at the watch on this one, and this one, and this one.
So yeah, VR, it's coming. You got other companies are doing it, and and I think the big thing is going to be for your PC and also how it integrates into your TV, though.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So yes, that's our VR spiel.
Ladies and gentlemen of the audience, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or topics that you would like to bring up, please hit us up in the chat room.
Where did this conversation go?
I don't
We're
know.
talking about jumping jacks and barrel rolls and computer chips in our skin.
Yes, actually, I think that's actually started to happen.
It probably has.
I know that you have the RFID stuff.
Yes.
That allows you to you can unlock doors and stuff.
You mean like my keys?
Right, but you don't need your keys. You literally just, because it's the scanner on your door.
That's like the CIA, man. Are you part of the CIA? Are you part of the cabal?
No.
Are you the cabal?
No. What? No.
I'm on to you.
Whatever it is.
You gave yourself away. And you're the werewolf.
Fallout 4 looks phenomenal. For some reason, I've never been a true fan of... Okay, I'm going to be honest. I never played the first couple of Fallouts. I jumped into Fallout 3, and I wanted to punch someone in the face for the VAT system because it's great. You get to choose what body part you shoot, but I was like, I started going batshit crazy.
So who did you shoot? Who did you punch in the face?
I think the President of the United States in the game.
Well, that must have got you far. Yeah. If it could be only Donald Trump, then we'd all be fine.
We're not going political.
I didn't even watch last night, so I don't even know what happened.
Whatever. Anyways, shoot, I feel like there was another question that I had from an individual who wasn't going to be able to.
Unless the audience has a question for us. Oh!
Ladies and gentlemen, as many of you know, there is this wonderful thing called the Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout contest where you could win. No, I have not tried the Mario Maker. I really do want to, though. Oh, wow. Who would win in an MMA?
Putin. I got Putin all the way. He's Russian, man. Those Russians are badass.
He's weird. Anyways, Ultra Confusion Thursday Night Hangout contest where you could potentially win one of...
Did I finally win something?
Different prizes. No. Zealeus has not won. But I do want to congratulate Andrew. He has won. He is the lucky winner of this past week's Thursday Night Hangout contest. We're going to do it at least one more time, maybe 2 times. So here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. If you would like to be entered into a contest where you could win a full pass, just a pass though, okay, not room and board, a full pass to Endocon, Kanuga, or MomoCon, or a 3-month subscription to
The indie
Indie
box.
box.
Or a white box.
You can, all you need to do is you need to go to one of the following places.
Here comes our information. Right
if you go to the website, our Facebook page, okay, so the website, comment on a story that you like, Facebook, like us, and then comment on our Facebook page. Twitter, of course, follow us, and then tweet at us. YouTube, of course, make a comment to a video. I recommend that you make a comment to this video when we render it and put it up online. And of course, you can subscribe or like the
we still need to
TV.
do Google Gaming.
Yes, we still need to do
We're not
Google
or
Gaming.
YouTube Gaming.
I know. I need to do YouTube Gaming. I meant to do it, and then babies got sick.
Hopefully next week on my week off, I can test it out a little.
Yeah.
Maybe I can stream some robotics.
So if you want to be entered into this competition, all you need to do is do one of the following. Once again, just hit up one of these places, do a comment.
Because
not
who
Twitch,
does not
though.
want free shit? I mean, hell, you can win the indie box and sell it. Boom. You can make money off of us. That's what I would do. That's probably why I'm not eligible.
Look, the Indie Box is an amazing product. For those of you out there who don't know, Alter Confusion is an independent video game news and review website. We review exclusively independently developed games. Indie Box is basically a dream come true because it allows us to basically pimp even further the amazing independently developed games. That one, of course, is the Apotheon.
Apotheon. Ooh, mouse pad. There is a... Wait. I'm going to start unfolding stuff. Hope you don't mind too much. If you mind, I don't really care. It's a poster of Apotheon.
Soundtrack. Got the game. That's a map.
There is a scroll that turns into a
the
map, so
yep.
I feel old school. But it's not papyrus, so I'm very disappointed.
So
there is a tassel to bring home to play with my kitten.
No, that's to tie the map together.
It's a play toy.
Yeah. Anyways, so
whoa. Okay, we're going to the e-boners.
Just saying,
E-boners, jumping jacks. I don't know, man.
All right. So, anyways, tell your friends.
Okay, so
yes, sir.
I'm gonna totally random. All right, so earlier we talked about esports.
Yep.
If anybody here watches any kind of esports, one of the things that can get a little bit monotonous about watching some of them, especially among the upper echelons of teams, is they pick and ban the same damn gods every time.
Yeah.
And it gets a little bit mundane. Like, okay, I've seen this god.
Characters.
I've seen this characters, gods, heroes, whatever your MOBA of the month flavor is. So what one company started doing is they've started promoting some tournaments where basically, I don't know what the term is, but basically the premise is most of the matches, it's best of 3 or best of 5.
Mm-hmm.
What happens though is that first match, say you pick 5 heroes and you get 5 bans. Those 10 characters / heroes are now not playable for the next game. So
that was the next round.
Or next round, sorry, yeah. No, of that best 3, so you got the first game,
mm-hmm.
that second game, those characters are not available for that best
Jesus.
of 3.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
So yeah, it's for that best of 3 that those are not available. Is what happens. So that second match, you can have players playing with characters that you've never seen in an actual pro esports game because they're considered terrible characters. Now, as you go on to the next round, like if you go into the second round, the slate is cleared. And you go back to scratch, you're able to restart. So
I banned all the terrible gods or players just so that no one has to dick with them.
Yeah. But the idea is, to little change things up. Get to, now you're going to force players to really, reach into the depths of their skill of, gods or heroes that don't necessarily play a whole lot with. So what do you think of this idea for doing, changing up the dynamic of your tournaments a little bit?
It's an interesting thing. I think that would definitely be a fun type of activity or tournament to run, to get the pro points that you need to get to your regional tournaments or your world championship tournaments. I think that when you're at the regionals or when you're at the world championship, you want to be playing with close to the best guys that you have. Yes, I know it gets a little monotonous because people have their favorite gods. If you give Barracuda on her, he's going to take on her.
Mm-hmm.
But that being said, it would be an interesting kind of way to change things up, a little bit of a curveball that keeps things fresh, definitely for the viewer, and also it also forces the professional players to have a more robust understanding of the what characters are in the game. So perhaps maybe a character that they had discounted long ago that may have had a couple tweaks, but they had their set roster of characters, it might allow them to maybe switch one around. You never know. It could add a little bit of flavor to what they're going to play in the future.
Of course, one of the worries is, say you're in a best of 5 match.
Mhm.
If you that 5th match, you could potentially have like over 60 of the pool banned
Right.
or blacklisted.
Right.
So you might also potentially have an issue with now you may end up seeing shitty matches. Because
Yes.
now you're playing, people are playing with characters that they don't understand the first thing about.
Right.
Instead of, having a good, entertaining match, you could be seeing a bunch of noob plays.
Really sloppy, yeah.
So I think it could go both ways. I like the idea, personally, my idea is if you're a team and you ban a player, that next game, that player is not bannable. That's what I would like to see.
Oh, right.
So that way, if you block, in Smear and Smite, and like we were at the Smite World Championships, Ymir was like the first god banned every single game.
Because one of the players was like the premier Ymir player.
And what I like
You
to
would
see
not
is if
allow
like
him to
game
have-
1, Team A blocks Ymir,
Yep.
game 2, they cannot block Ymir is what I'd like to see. Because now it forces Team A to actually be able to counteract Ymir and their top player playing with it.
Mhm.
And you also then get to see players actually playing with their top characters.
Right.
And that's probably what got them to the top 2 is playing with Ymir. So I think they should have the opportunity to play with their top character on top of that.
Nudge, as much as I would love to talk about Binding of Isaac, I have not played it enough to feel comfortable about talking about it.
Sorry, I don't know what Binding of Isaac even is.
It's a game.
It's a game. Sorry, I thought like we were talking about a book.
No.
I have no idea. I'm not helpful.
Sorry.
I don't know, man.
But yeah.
Yeah. So do you want to tell people about AlteredConfusion since we're here?
Okay, so AlteredConfusion is going to be at 3 different conventions this coming year. As of right now, we are going to be at Canuga in February. We're going to be in AndoCon in March, and we're going to be at MomoCon in May. We're trying to look for a convention that's going to be later in the year, simply because we want to do more conventions. But as of right now, it looks like it's going to be those 3 conventions. We're going to try to have a fan table at MomoCon and Canuga, and we're hoping to have 2 panels per. All 3 of those will have 2 panels. One, of course, is the destruction of the game industry as we know it. The other one is going to be video games today.
Video games today. What
Is
about,
there ever going to be a Dante's Inferno 2? Don't think so.
you would have to ask the developer. Or
I don't. I
Whoever
don't.
owns
Okay,
IP.
so let's go into this real quick. One of the dirty dark secrets, and I think it started to go away, but one of the dirty dark secrets that's been in the game industry for a ton of time, ever since a wonderful website, and I'm being sarcastic when I say wonderful, called Metacritic came into being. Publishers utilize Metacritic scores to basically rationalize if a game is going to get a sequel or not. Here is the craziness, okay? If your game gets an 85 or above on Metacritic score out of 100 points, you have about a 90% chance of getting a sequel. Unless, of course, there's it's just not going to be, there's just not enough money in the budget at the time, and then maybe you'll eventually be able to get that sequel. Now, if you get an 84 or below, there's only a 30% chance of that sequel being made, which is just batshit crazy because here's the very, very bad thing about Metacritic.
Terrible.
So Metacritic pulls scores from all different sites to give you a very round average score. The problem is not everyone grades on a 10-point or 100-point scale. So what Metacritic does is it interprets the data, and sometimes that data, say a 3 out of 5, which would be a 60 on Metacritic, in the eyes of the reviewer, is not worth a 60. It's much higher in the eyes of the reviewer.
Yep.
So here is the terrible thing. Metacritic, that part of Metacritic is run by a single person, one person.
Just one.
And so when you have these sites that are being, their information is being pulled from, trying to either say, please stop pulling information from our site, or please correct the information you're pulling from our site, it's very hard to find this individual. Several big name sites that are getting their information pulled have literally had to go to San Francisco and track this dude down in real life to get it fixed.
Nice.
So Metacritic is broken as shit when it comes to that. Now, of course, you've got the users and consumer reviews, which are pretty honest.
I think so.
Ando, have you guys ever played any of the Zork games? Text-based or graphical, doesn't matter. Yes, I have. I played. Oh my god, I can't remember. I think it's called Master of Zork. It was a graphic one. It was for the PC. It's been it's been way too long since I played it.
I didn't play Zork, but I usually played is MUDs.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't know what a MUD is basically what is it? I don't remember what it stands for anymore. But basically, it's a graphical. You may have graphics depending on what your program you use is. But basically, it's a multiplayer version of Zork is the best way I can think of describing it. You're usually some kind of fantastical world, thinking of wizards and dragons and stuff. And you have a character with, usually RPG-ish type of stats. You're interacting in the world with other people. And they also tend to have like applications they use to interact with MUDs. So you can actually kind of see, usually kind of like the rogue style, where you'd have like ASCII art to basically display what's going on in the world, be it the map or your, stats. So that was not quite Zork, but usually MUDs is what I play because
Multi-user dungeon.
Yeah, multi-user dungeon. Thank you.
Go left. You can't go that way.
Yeah.
Go right. You can't go
And
that
that's
way.
the problem with like Zork. It was so open-ended with like very little actual direction of what were you supposed to do. That was a little bit frustrating to me. Whereas most MUDs I played, it was a little bit more focused. You kind of had direction. And you also had like a lot of helping out the noobs in MUDs was a really big deal. And kind of helping people get started and how you got around.
Mm-hmm.
Versus you were just dropped into Zork. You're in a dark room. Would you like to go out the window?
You're in a dark room. You can see light coming from the window.
And that was the start. And I'm like, okay. So
look at room. It is dark. You can see out the window.
Go out the window. The window is locked. Break the window. Syntax does not work.
Yeah.
So no, I could never get into the Zorks, I'm going to be honest.
Now, I like I said, I played one of the, I want to say it was probably Zork, Return to Zork, I think was the one I played.
I don't know.
It's been forever and a day, so I can't really remember much.
Zork Nemesis makes me think of Star Trek.
Yeah. It had that same feel as Myst.
Oh, Myst.
Mm-hmm.
That was a good puzzle game.
Mm-hmm.
I remember watching my brothers play it for hours.
I'm not gonna say I was awesome at Myst, but it was kind of in that.
He was good at the puzzles, and I remember at the time too. The whole graphics, the 3D engine was like mind blowing. Actually, my favorite thing about mind blowing graphics are graphics cards art. Like the crazy, especially the old school 3D Voodoo, the old Voodoo video cards. With the crazy dragons, flaming, killing princesses. Artwork on the art box was like the coolest thing ever. I miss artwork on cool boxes. Now it's just plain and... It looks like a bean counter makes the artwork now for graphics cards, which is disappointing.
It is.
Yeah.
Return to Zork! Yes!
There will be no returning to Zork for me.
Sad day.
I know.
I feel sorry for you.
Somehow I'll get on with my life.
So I know that this is just completely random, but AlteredConfusion has gotten a new piece of equipment. for the conventions this next year.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we've replaced one of our controllers.
It's glowy.
Yep, we got a glowy controller. So we're getting rid of the black one that has like the broken wires and is also third party.
It's the African.
If you want to know the difference between this one and our black Mad Catz controller, you talk to me afterwards because it doesn't. It's
I've
technical.
learned knockoff.
There's a Hamlet text adventure game out there somewhere. Can't seem to find it. Hamlet.
Knockoff controllers for the PC are more trouble than I've learned. Like I have a
knockoff controllers for anything like that. Mad Catz is a knockoff controller for the Xbox 360, and the problem is that it interprets data differently than your Xbox 360 licensed controllers. And so if you're trying to program a game for the Xbox 360 or a PC utilizing that controller, it's different.
My problem is I have a knockoff Logitech controller that I try using for the computer, and basically every single mapped button is one off.
Nice.
So so it's really annoying. So like what's left is down, what's down is right. So basically you have to remap the entire controller for every game you're playing. Yeah, it's kind of obnoxious.
That is obnoxious.
Yeah.
That's not good, man. It's not good.
No, man. I should really just buy a real controller, but oh well. You know, minor details. So.
Looking for the HHGTTG text game. Can't seem to find that one anywhere either. Man, there are so many like old school games that I wish I could find now, but I can't.
Underdogs.
Oh man.
Yeah, Underdogs would have had it if it still existed.
There was Underdogs, and then I want to say there was a place called Happy Hippo, or something like that.
Well, Underdogs was the original, but it was run by like one person, and then basically she wouldn't give up like the rights to, and she stopped maintaining it. And there was a group of volunteers like, dude, we'll take over or do that. We'll take over the website for you, which she refused to actually relinquish ownership. So it went to graveyard.
Those are the old days.
Indeed. So.
Yes. Oh. Sadly, ladies and gentlemen, I believe we've almost reached the end of our show, which makes me sad.
Indeed.
Because Zealeus and I definitely extremely enjoy every single one of these Thursday Night Hangouts because we love hanging out with you guys and, of course, chit-chatting about all the crazy topics that y'all could come up with, and then, of course, the tangents that people seem to be able to get me on.
You do that on your own.
I know, I do.
You got skills.
I like to go on tangents. It's
what you do.
It's what I do.
You're tangential.
I don't think you're using that word right.
I am in my own special brain, and that's what matters.
That's. Ooh.
Yeah.
Wants them to grow full beards. He cannot grow facial hair, and this is as much facial hair as I can grow.
This becomes like a more visible patch of stubble and like places where like my beard randomly does not grow.
Yeah, unfortunately, this is about as good as it gets.
Yeah, mine doesn't get good. It's more of a 5 o'clock shadow. Yeah, it does.
Because I have some serious bald spots that would not work with a beard. I have attempted to try to grow a beard a couple times, but it doesn't work. Just gonna lay it out there. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the Altered Confusion Thursday Night Hangout for myself, Charlie, and Zealeus. It's been a pleasure to give you the craziness coming out of our mouths and, of course, all the topics we covered. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or criticism for us, drop us a line through any of the following ways. Well, of course, through the website at www.AlteredConfusion.com. You can also check us out and hit us up on Facebook at Altered Confusion. Twitter is AlteredConfusion, which, of course, is Altered Confusion without the N, because with the N, it would be too powerful and mind-blowing. And then, of course, our YouTube channel, which is AlteredConfusionLLC, where you can find all of our Thursday Night Hangouts, my Something Slightly Different, and game quick looks, as well as game playthroughs that might interest you. And of course, you are currently on twitch.tv, unless you're watching the recording of this, and then you need to go to Twitch TV /AlteredConfusion to catch our live show, which of course happens every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time.
7 o'clock Central Time.
Where all of you are very welcome to add to the conversation and help guide our talks in amazing and crazy ways. So thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week at the bare minimum. Of course, I will try to jump on and do some streaming in the very, very near future. That, of course, is, crossing my fingers that all the children and the rest of my family in this household continue to be going healthier.
Indeed.
Because they be sick right now.
We like healthy kids.
So anyways, thank you for tuning in, and we will see you next week.
Remember, kids, keep on gaming in the free world.
Amen to that, brother. And I know that the sexy man is not here, so I'll say this. He is Ando, and so can you. Because, hey, Ando is that cool. And, of course, one other really quick thing. Of course, check out the Nerdburger podcast. They pimped us, we're pimping them. And, of course, Nerdburger Games, which is making Murders and Acquisitions, a phenomenal game that you need to check out as soon as it is available to the public. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for tuning into our show. Seriously, tell your friends. Hit us up on all of the wonderful information, or all of our wonderful social media sites, and we will see you next week.